interaction with a mode of cooperation that extracts from the human-machine cooperation field of research. And we decided to not choose the level of autonomy that is mostly adopted today in the research. So this classification was initially developed for the automobile, for the ADAS, for the lane assist. And the specificities of this classification is that they will explicitly classify the activities, the cooperative activities between the operator and the system. So this classification can say who will do what, but also how the agent will communicate, when they communicate, and what information, what type of information they have to exchange. So the first mode of cooperation is the perceptual mode. So in this mode, the machine can only increase the pilot's perception, but no action of the machine. In the second mode, so the more control mutual mode, the pilot will carry out the task entirely, but the machine can warn him, suggest an action, or limiting the pilot to avoid any errors. So the machine can simulate the action to avoid any errors. In the third mode, the function delegation mode, the machine will realize the task, but it is to the pilot to give the parameters for accomplish the task. And in the last mode is an entirely automated mode, so the system carry out entirely the task without human intervention. The first limit of this classification, is that they have never been applied to our domain, so to our swarm task, but more generally to our the flight domain and military flight domain. And the second point is that the 8 tasks can be studied in this project. So in response to these limits, we developed a first study where the objective is to identify the priority task to study. So a priority task is a task with a high criticality for the mission continuity, and a task where mode of cooperation could induce a mental effort gain, so could reduce the mental effort to carry out the task. To achieve this objective, we recruit 21 pilot and weapon system officials for the French Army, and we present them a mission scenario using the swarm focused on the post-release phase. So this scenario was composed of 8 events. Each event will contextualize one task. For example, we have the event A was a target displacement. So it contextualized the task where change coordinate of the target. And at this time, we asked to the pilot to estimate by an analogic visual scale the criticality of the task. After this, we present the task in the 4 cooperation mode. So the 4 ways to realize the task that correspond at each mode of cooperation. And at this time, we ask to the pilot by again an analogic visual scale to estimate the mental effort in each mode, and we deduce the mental effort gain that was a percentage of the effort gain over the mode 0. So the mode 0 was our baseline in each task. For the conclusion of this study, we identify 4 priority tasks. So we have change target coordinate, adding a new target in the fire plan, modification the trajectory of the swarm, and analysis of battle damage indicator was identified as priority task to study because they have a high criticality, and mode of cooperation can reduce the mental effort to carry out the task. So if I come back to the mode of cooperation, the principal conclusion of the study 1 is what we can apply this scale to our task. So the task is suited, so the scale was suitable for our domain. And we identify, I said earlier, 4 principles, 4 priority tasks. And for the next of the thesis, we will focus only on the changing trajectory of the swarm. But we have a second limit with this scale, is that to our knowledge, there is a few studies on the impact of this mode of cooperation of the operator connective load. And among the studies, we have no measure of the situational awareness, and these studies not include fighter pilot, that is a very particular population. So we develop a second study where the aim is to investigate the impact of mode of cooperation on pilot cognitive load and situational awareness during the modification of the swarm. So the objective of this second study is to quantify the cognitive load induced by each mode of cooperation, and the second was to evaluate the quality of situational awareness in each mode of cooperation. So for the study, we expected, so it's in development, and we expected 20 or 30 pilots or weapon system officials, and we want to place them in a dual task paradigm, where the prior task will be the trajectory modification, and a secondary task to test the cognitive load that can be the MAT-B2 tracking task. So not entirely the MAT-B2, only the tracking task. We want to place them in the form order of cooperation, and we want to measure three big type of dependent value, that is the cognitive load, the situational awareness, and also the performance, because the performance stays the most important thing at the finale for an operational pilot. The protocol, quickly, the protocol of the study, we want to test sequentially each mode. So each mode will be composed about 3 tries, and at the end, a self-confrontation interview to have more details on the performance by the pilot. Each try will follow the same pattern. At the 0 to 1 minute, the pilot have the time for understanding the tactical situation. So where is the initial trace, the initial trajectory, and maybe the other pathway if you have to change the trajectory. At what minute we start the simulation, so the swarm will follow this initial trajectory. The pilot has no action on the swarm, but he has to carry out the tracking task. It will be our baseline for each try, for the second task. And at 2 minutes, new trace will appear on the trajectory of the swarm, and then the pilot will have to modify the trajectory of the swarm and realize also the second task. And the end of the try at 3 minutes. So he has 1 minute to realize this phase. For the progress of this study, actually, we are at the second pretest on 5, so we are on time. We just have to adjust some settings of the experiment, and in 1 month, I hope, we will be ready to start the data collection until the end of October, and we hope to publish at the start of the next year. That's all for me. If you have some questions, I'll let you know.